once again, we welcome you to another edition of C-Suite Cafe. Today, we are talking public relations. PR, as we all know, is important, whether you are in private or public sector, whether you are even an individual doing business or even normally relating with people. You cannot do without public relations. And we went beyond the mountains to get a king, an heir apparent, a man who has occupied that space and doing great things. Somebody whose presence elicits head turns by everybody who understands PR or even close to it. He lives, speaks, walks, and breathes public relations. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome one of Nigeria's and indeed Africa's best in the PR and reputation management space. I am talking of no other person than Israel Jaiye Opayemi, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Chain Reactions PR.
Thank you, Ikem, for that very generous introduction. Good day to our viewers. I want to say big thank you to you for having me here today.
You're welcome. And before we kick off, I need to pump your adrenaline. And we're going to start with a few quick fire questions. I ask these questions and you're required to respond
very quickly.
Very quickly. We get that rolling.
Okay.
Family or career, choose one.
Family is everything. Because when I have family, I can build a career again and again.
Private or public enterprise, choose one.
Private. Private, because the private sector is the engine room of growth in any society.
If you weren't doing PR and working for Chain Reactions, what else would you be doing?
I'll probably be a mechanic, because I see that, if there's any trade that's really that Nigerians really need now, is somebody to solve that problem for them very quickly. Make a lot of mechanical issues, and when you see the guys who are applying the trade today, with the greatest respect to those of them who are doing amazing work, you realize that problem solving. I'm somebody who I love problems. I love to diagnose problems and I love to solve problems. And I think that let's give it to those guys who are in that trade. That's one thing they do quite well. And another thing, let me add another one. Another thing I probably would do if I don't pick the job of a mechanic, when I come back the next life, is probably I'll be in the intelligence agency. And that's why strategy is my calling.
Books or movies, choose one.
Books for me.
Tiger or lamb, in terms of your management style?
Tiger.
Welcome. Welcome. I know that we're pumped up, and at this point, we will serve ourselves coffee and get fully started. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Israel Jaiye Opayemi on the cafe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We've taken our coffee and we're back, and we still have here our PR guru, Israel Jaiye Opayemi of Chain Reactions. Like I said, we are going to talk strictly PR and reputation management today. And the first concern I have, and which a lot of other people in the market are sharing, is the challenge of PR as a profession. Because if you look at the market, there are lots of dynamics that are coming in. Some people say content marketing, some people say content creators, some people say, what's the other buzzword again for it? But you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
With the digital revolution taking place, social media, AI and things, there seems to be a lot of convergence that you find it difficult to recognize PR and differentiate from advertising. Now, if you take your mind back, to the origin of these two professions. They were the same. But over time, it was important to have what Aris called divergence. Are we going back to the area of convergence of these two industries? I think I'm making sense. You are the expert here.
Brilliant question, Ikem. The truth is this, the age of convergence is here. I still spoke about this at a conference just less than 2 weeks ago. We're back to the age of convergence. And this dawn of light actually had happened longer than we realized it in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria. Ikem, the truth is, we're fully in the age of convergence. And I said this at a conference I attended about 2 weeks ago at the Civic Center, which was also an industry, gathering. As far back as 2014, some of us, caught this, revelation about, the reality that was dawning on us that we're now fully in the age of convergence. And I think for me, this was a very significant experience, a life-changing experience for me. It was my attendance with some of my professional colleagues here from Nigeria at the Global PR Summit in Miami, Florida in the year 2014. So, at that conference, there was a session that was dedicated towards just discussing the age of convergence, how advertising, public relations, digital marketing, and what have you, were all coming together to form the new phase of communication, today in the digital age, thanks to digital technology. And what did I find at that conference? One of the things I found at that conference was that even the skills, the talents we now needed to run a public relations consulting firm had long changed before we even realized it. Long before 2014, by the way, because the works that were presented were works that were presented, ahead of 2014, at that summit. And again, let me say this to you and to our viewers. Some of those works could pass for some of the works that you will find our A-list advertising agencies in Nigeria producing. They looked like TV commercials, but they were telling stories and they were pressing across, messages. They were meant to engage audience towards, certain actions. So when you even look at, the most fundamental definition or description of advertising itself, that it's a paid form of communication that is meant to elicit an action. And then you then also look at the peso model that Guinea Dietrich, introduced in our book.
That's the paid and shared and
peso, yes, paid, yes, exactly. So if you also look at that, you will realize that the first pillar of that peso model is paid.
It's paid, yes.
And it is meant for PR. So PR is also not just about earned media alone. It's also about the paid media, the same way advertising does. So the truth is, we're all in the same market. We're all in the same age of convergence. We're everything. But let me tell you the most significant aspect of my learning and my decision from that conference. As we're coming back, my colleague and I sat very close to each other on the flight. So he noticed that all through the flight, I hardly slept. Anytime he takes a nap, he wakes up, he found me writing, he found me making notes, and he was wondering what I was writing. It was upon my return to Nigeria that we recruited our very first marketing director, even as a public relations and reputation management consulting firm. So people were wondering, what was this guy doing? Why would you need a creative director, in a public relations and reputation management consulting
in the industry, it will appear strange.
So it was strange to a lot of stakeholders in the industry, but people never knew. And I kept on preaching this message that, hey, guys, we're now in the age of convergence. A lot of things must change. We can no longer continue to, attract and recruit the type of talents that we were recruiting yesterday. That we need to future-proof our business. So I started talking about the new types of talents that will be needed by public relations firms now, that you will need infographic specialists, you will need data analysts, you will need, you will need sociologists, you will need, political scientists, you will need economists. And then I now went as far as saying that, as a matter of fact, not only will you need consumer neuroscientists under your roof, you will also need to employ a psychiatrist. And I can tell you today that the only talent Reactions is yet to recruit is a psychiatrist. And we're going
Let me even
we're
ask
going
you,
there gradually.
psychiatrists in PR, some of the faculties you just mentioned
Yes.
appear strange to the standard traditional PR practice that we grew up to know.
Right.
You are moving like a jet plane into the future. But I am concerned about the larger industry. Are we ready for what is already the present? You know, you are affiliated to an international agency.
Where?
Let me even ask,
Okay.
why are we this late
Okay.
in catching up with the rest of the world in terms of these changes that has come upon the industry?
Well, I mean, it's just like everything you look at in civilization. Things never start, the same day, the same time in different parts of the world. Whether in Australia, whether in you want to look at Africa, things never start the same day. But I think that the thing all of us should be happy about is that a number of Nigerian public relations firms and stakeholders are seeing what we were saying. Take note of this. They are seeing what we were saying as far back
Yes.
2014, and I'm glad. I'm noting the fact that a few of them are even changing their models. They're changing even the designations we used to have. In those days you have client service executives, you have media executives.
Yes.
Now those things have changed. If you come to our establishment, you will never find such. As far back as several years ago, we changed all of those designations because we were preparing ourselves for how the future was unwrapping very, very quickly.
Now, speaking about that future, it is also concerning that I think last year or 2 years ago, our universities started preparing for a divergence that the world was already moving away from. I'm sorry. By decoupling mass communication as a discipline to create a separate course for advertising, a separate call for
Public
course for pure
relations,
publications, a separate call for theater, a separate call for movie and film production. So if the industries that these students are coming out to serve are converging, why are the courses preparing them for life in the practice being diverged?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. I think the beauty of that convergence still is the fact that there will be diversity of skills required, to form the potpourri of that convergence. Now, so in our establishment, you will find cinematographers, you will find, creative, designers, and all of that. Those were talents that probably years or decades ago you will only find in an advertising, agency. So we will still recruit. When the recruitment will be the convergence point, because all of these specialties, all of these skills are still going to be needed. Whether the guys who do movie production, and movie and film, production, who have specialized in movie and film production, the guys who have specialized in public relations or in advertising, all of those skills. We have strategists that were recruited from one of the A-list, advertising, agencies in Nigeria, working with us. So they help us to see things from a totally different perspective. They help us to see things from the perspective of how they see strategy when an advertising campaign is being created. So this is the beauty of the divergence. The beauty of the convergence rather is that there will be diversity of skills. There will be a kind of potpourri of skills. With different people coming from different backgrounds. We have people from digital marketing background, we have people from experiential marketing working with us. So they are able to look at strategy and the creation of campaign from a totally different, the beauty that brings color into how campaigns are now created. We can no longer do things the way we used to do things.
But you are going to have a problem with sister industries.
Okay.
How will the traditional advertising agency view and relate with PR agencies that are so upscaling that you're going to be perceived in quotes as taking jobs from them?
Okay, I think again, here's the beauty of what is unfolding, before us. Again, I didn't create the PESO model. Jide created the PESO model, and for as long as the first pillar of that PESO is paid, we will do certain things that advertising agencies traditionally, used to do, and which is what is happening now. I think the real question is not. I'm not sure the advertising agencies are bothered about public relations doing paid campaign. I think they are more. I think the concern really is who now regulates that.
Exactly.
Who now regulates that
Yes.
aspect? Do you now subject your work to ACON, or do you subject it to NIPR for approval? And I do believe, and I do also hope that the NIPR leadership will take up this challenge, because unless again that convergence then affects the regulatory agencies again, where they then morph into one, where ACON and NIPR as regulatory agencies now morph into one, and they become one central regulatory body for the entire industry. That would be an interesting play. Truthfully speaking, that would be an interesting play. But for now, what we have, I think that's the only challenge that we have now, because now there have been complaints by public relations firms who were briefed by their clients to do some paid communication work, who now have to go not to the NIPR, but now have to go to ACON for approval.
Thank you very much for this detailed explanation, because like I told you when we were starting, what we want are intelligent insights into the industry that will be of benefit, not just to practitioners, but to those outside. I need to ask, the multiplicity of media platforms, for the old school PR person, even for those in the new school, it has made the practice nightmarish, to the point where you have to simultaneously hold conversations, activate engagements across multiple channels in print, electronic, and even in the electronic, even the dark media, just to get this job done. How is the industry, or let me even say, how are you coping? Do you think some of these talents you're warehousing is going to be of help in managing conversations on social media and traditional media very effectively?
So I think my first response to the last part of your question is yes. The talents will help, and that's why today we have people from digital marketing, background, who are able to discuss programmatic campaign with you very intelligently, who are able to sell propositions, around programmatic campaign, around digital, communication to our clients, effectively. So that's speaking about the talent. But there's also the part that has to do with what digital technology has also now done to public relations, which makes that thing that would have been a worry that you have described about the emergence of multiple channels that we now have to deal with, as opposed to what our forebears dealt with in their own days. In those days, they only needed to worry about NTA, Guardian newspaper, Daily Times, and the rest of them. But now, you are dealing with tons of media platforms that will either,
Millions of
that
them.
will either represent you very well or misrepresent you. You are also dealing with tons of social media platforms that never existed even when digital, the digital tradition started. Now more, we don't even know how many more will come in another 5 to 10 years, from now. But here's the beauty. The beauty is that now we now have digital tools that help you to be able to do cross-platform monitoring of campaigns. Cross-platform monitoring of campaigns. Before when this whole thing started, you would probably just need to go on Twitter and use to get your analytics from the back end and all of that. But now there are digital tools that help you to be able to monitor your campaign from a single standpoint and do across platforms and aggregate conversations for you and also aggregate the analytics for you and tell you how your campaign is doing well, give you the online sentiment analysis, which aspect of your campaign is receiving some positive responses, what are the percentage of negative you are having, and what are the percentages of neutral that you are having. So you have all of these now, courtesy of digital technology again that we are able to use. So it's no longer a nightmare to us. It's now just a question of their affordability. How many public relations firms today can afford some of those tools? There are tools today, for example, that you can deploy, and they will tell you, they will aggregate for you all the Arsenal fans that are in Nigeria. You want to communicate.
Are you an Arsenal fan?
so you want to communicate with Arsenal fans in Nigeria. Those tools can aggregate them for you. You want to communicate with the guys who make comments about food, and all of that in Nigeria. They can aggregate them for you. The guys who discuss sports, the guys who discuss entertainment, they can aggregate them for you. So the tools are there. The affordability is a different question entirely, and of course, even the awareness of the practitioners themselves of those tools, it's a different ballgame entirely. But the truth is that we do not see any headache. We see the fact that we see opportunities.
We are looking more into how the industry is.
Okay.
Like we're talking technology,
Okay.
ChatGPT, AI, and those things. And the increasing depersonalization
Of communication.
and communication management is important.
Okay.
If we become so impersonal, are we not seeing a situation whereby our engagement becomes so machine enabled that human factors, that creation of relationship, which I'm sure you note PR, is out for? Are we not going to dilute that humanity in public relations by becoming excessively machine enabled?
Okay, so I think it's a very interesting question. I mean, it's a concern that is being discussed across the globe today. I think the more worrying part for most people has been the fact that, the likelihood of this whole AI thing leading to job losses, and all of that. And of course, we still have some of the global tech leaders saying that, as a matter of fact, more jobs will go as a result of AI. But we see the glass as being half full rather than being half empty, and I will explain what I mean by that. We see some blessedness in this, in the adoption of AI. One, efficiency. It brings better efficiency for organizations. Let's look at an aspect of the work of a public relations consulting firm, for example, which has to do with media monitoring. Now, what's the number of hours it will take your team ordinarily to do this thing? You remember how it used to be when you need to pack, several copies of newspapers, and be looking at them, page by page.
Then you are cutting.
Then you are scanning. We no longer have to do that because there are AI-enabled tools that generally will just go, to the website, bring all of the aggregate all of this together.
Yes.
Now, what would take your media monitoring team about 3-4 hours to do, that tool gets it done in a matter of minutes. It brings efficiency. It ensures that your media monitoring team are able to do more. Now, let's even go to another use of AI today, which is online sentiment analysis. Now, it will probably, in those days, it will probably require you and I to start reading the newspapers, paragraph by paragraph, and then judge by ourselves if this story is neutral, is negative, or is positive. But
and
today,
the exact offending paragraph or portion.
thank you.
Yes.
But today, with the benefit of AI-enabled tools, we are able to get this done in a matter of minutes. With all of the online sentiment analysis done, the tool plots the graph for you, shows you, oh, this story has garnered 75% positive sentiment, has garnered so and so percentage of negative sentiment and neutral sentiment, and you are able to even have insight. You are able to even geolocate where the comments are coming from. Are they speaking ill of our brand, in Enugu State? If so, why? What is responsible for it? Will it be a deliberate demarketing by the competition in Enugu, State? So I say that as a blessing, not only to public relations, but to the entire, communications lanyard in Nigeria and in Africa. The adoption rate may have been, quite slow, particularly on the side of the agencies and the consultants. But I think let's give it to the clients. I guess maybe because, they have, better financial firepower, so they are able to do this adoption, very, very quickly. Buy into it, subscribe, and make use of them for their brand marketing efforts.
Okay, thank you very much for this, again, detailed response. But I think you lost me somewhere.
Okay.
I am talking more about emotions.
Okay. Oh, yes.
PR
The depersonalization part.
Yes, the depersonalization, because I've read stories curated on AI. I've seen videos which were manipulated by AI. They are usually devoid of the human emotion, which, when they talk about brand immersion, if you're working on an account, you're supposed to be so soaked into the promises, into the deliverables of the brand, that you can emotionally connect with it, and then by that connection, communicate that to the market. AI won't do that for us. So are we going to sacrifice the emotion in PR for the efficiency of AI?
So there's still going to be, I know it's not all just about efficiency. There's still going to be the human element behind the uses of, these AI tools. And that's the reality we are having today. There's still the involvement of the human. Who are the people who deploy those tools? They are still the staff that we have engaged who make use of those tools. But what the point is still that the tool enables them to be able to work more efficiently, more timelessly in delivering results. So, however, in terms of the depersonalization, we're not trading personalization for efficiency. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that efficiency is very key for businesses, especially for businesses, and even for government that are not profit-making institutions. You also want to do things with the speed of light. But more importantly is the fact that how are you able to, don't forget there's a lot also going on in terms of machine learning, today. So that's why sometimes when you are having chats with some, either with some chatbots or with some robots, you could see, a robot, speak back to you and say, oh, so sorry to hear about that. You understand? Oh, I'm so sorry, to hear this, from you. Now, it may not be the depth of the emotion that a human being will put in, but gradually, the machine learning is an ongoing process, and I do think that we're going to see something that will shock, the world in a matter of years. So the learning continues, the research continues, and I do believe that we're going to have more, chatbots. We're going to have more robots that will express emotions better than even some human beings in a matter of years to come.
Let me take you to some of the manifestations of the multiplicity of media, social media and things. And they are squeezed into two words: misinformation and disinformation.
Yes.
And it has spread all around the world. Conspiracy theories, people who just sit down and create stuff, very convincing stuff.
Yes.
How is PR dealing with this, or how can PR help in dealing with issues of misinformation and disinformation? Sometimes I don't even know the difference between the two. But then,
the first thing is for the practitioners themselves to skill up. Okay, for the practitioners themselves to skill up. And I'll tell you a story. Some years ago, and then of course we've had this, this whole digital thing, incursion into communication, with us then. So I'd gone to one of the southwest states, and there was a protest. And the first lady of the state was going to pass through the route to an event. The protesters had blocked the road, and she made a very swift decision, instructed the security team to say, let's make our way back, let's go back, or find an alternative route to get to the venue. Then I think the protesters again said they couldn't go, so they had to use some minimum force to, achieve a pushback. I guess maybe they shot into the air to just pull people back or something like that. Minutes later, pictures started flying around the social media, community, saying that the security aides of the first lady in question had killed protesters. And I had gone to the governor's office to see the governor. So I saw both the aides of the governor and the aides of the first lady run, and then somebody now mentioned to the first lady that I was around. And and I got a call and I said, oh, don't worry, I'll suspend my meeting and I'll be part of this. Guys, have you heard of reverse imaging before? Somebody said yes. I said, subject this picture to reverse imaging. Guess what? What came out, the result? The picture was fake. It was from an accident. It was from an accident scene, somewhere not even remotely connected with the location of the protest. So, and there are many of those tools that we as public relations practitioners must make very conscious effort, begin to skill up our people in their usage. Virtually every single platform you pick today has one tool or the other associated with it that is meant to do verification of fake news, misinformation, of disinformation. They all have. I mean, if you whether it is X, whether it is Meta you want to speak about, they all have tools associated with them. So I do believe that it's just a challenge the public relations industry, the communications industry at large must take up and begin to train people and begin to skill up people so that people are able to make use of those tools.
thank you very much. It's still Seafood Cafe, and we still have Israel Jaiye Opayemi of Chain Reactions PR with us. Thank you. We'll go for a coffee break and be back shortly. We're back, and we still have Israel Jaiye Opayemi of Chain Reactions with us in the studio. Welcome back.
Thank you, Wike.
My next question is about reputation management. Some people have said that the best way to maintain your reputation, especially in these days, is to keep away from the public. Maintain a low profile, just don't engage, do your thing, go away, and you won't create anything that will trigger any negative backlash for you. Does this work?
Okay, so first and foremost, let's look at it from two different, angles. Let's look at it from individual reputation management standpoint. Let's look at it from corporate reputation standpoint. From the corporate reputation standpoint, there can be no hiding place for you when it comes to your reputation, because every single day, every single minute, your reputation is being formed or is being shaped by what you are doing and what you are not doing. Let me repeat that. Every single day, every wakefulness, your reputation is being shaped or is being formed by what you are doing or what you are not doing. Now, let's take a corporate organization, for example, that says, oh, we don't want to engage at all. We don't want to. It's a very deceptive, it's a very deceptive stance to take, because already, whether you like it or not, there are internal publics you are dealing with. Your reputation is being shaped before them or by them as a result of certain things you are doing or you are not doing. So whether you like it or not, your staff are your internal publics. Your suppliers, those who do business with your organization, the way they are treated or the way they are not treated. If you are a listed company, you also have shareholders, you also have the analysts, you also have the media to contend with. So there can be no hiding place for an organization that says, we don't want to engage, we don't want to do anything. Nature itself abhors a vacuum. So you can't create a vacuum and say, we have come into business, but we don't want to do anything about our reputation. We just want to lie low. It's impossible. That's number one. Number two, for an individual, let's take the second case study of an individual. Whether you like it or not, you are not staying on an island where you are the only one.
Robinson Crusoe.
with just the birds of the air and all of that. For as long as you will have cause to interrelate with people on this planet Earth, your reputation is being formed. Somebody may just look at you and just say, meanwhile, your disposition may just look at you and just say, he's arrogant. Perhaps because you dress well, or perhaps because you carry yourself with some air of confidence, somebody just says, you are arrogant. You know what has happened? Your reputation has been formed. Is that reputation correct? No. So you will then need to make effort to correct that reputation, whether in the course of some interpersonal, relationship opportunity you will then have with that person again. Maybe you will spark up a conversation deliberately, and that person gets to know you. There's this beautiful, Nollywood, act that I once met at a front, and she just came in and she just said, good morning to everyone, and she just sat down quietly. In my head, ordinarily I would have assumed that she was snobbish. But you know what? Until we started a conversation about Nigeria, that was when she suddenly became animated, and she started speaking, and she started laughing with us. She started telling us our own opinion of what was happening. What we're discussing about Nigeria, about the economy, about politics, and all of that. So, whether you like it or not, a reputation will be formed about you as an individual. Within seconds of people just meeting you or people just seeing you, either the way you say hello to people, someone may just say, look at the way, he has said hello to us. He's rather condescending. Whereas you meant well. You had no motive of such, with you. Same for an organization, same for a corporate, body. For as long as you have come into existence as a corporate body, be you a government agency, be you a corporate body, you will deal with publics. They will form opinions about you. They will form reputation, about you. They will shape your reputation in the ways you could not even have imagined. So you have to be very intentional about your reputation.
What is the best time for, let's say, a fast-rising public figure or a company, whether SME or even lower and higher, what's the best time to be intentional about reputation management?
I think the best time to be intentional is from the day you are even thinking of the business. Or if you are an individual, you ask yourself, what is my purpose here? I mean, which is what I always, ask people, whether I speak to, our younger ones, or I always ask, what's your purpose? I mean, God just didn't dump you on this planet Earth to just roam about. There must be something you are here. There must be an assignment. There must be something you are here to solve.
Exactly.
Once you find that thing, make up your mind. I'm very intentional about your reputation. You understand? I say to people, I say, look, I'm a prophet in the marketplace. My job is to solve problems for leaders, whether business leaders, government leaders. My job is to solve problems. So, in doing that, in applying my trade, a reputation is formed about me. Whether I'm doing it competently or I'm not doing it well, people will form an opinion about me. So I'm very intentional about what I do and what I say, because I know that everything I do, not even do, will contribute to how a reputation is formed about me.
Okay. I had to ask you that question because of a recent incident in Nigeria where a tomato paste manufacturer had very serious and, if I may say, avoidable PR backlash just because of certain things that was done without proper advice. So, what could have been done during that period? Yes, I know he didn't seek professional advice. I know that he didn't even have anything in place before and even immediately following what eventually happened. What are the consequences of some actions like what happened during that case? I know you know what I'm talking about.
So I'll be a bit circumspect in terms of the how I speak about this, but what I can say is this, which again I always say: when you are in any line of business, when you are in any sector, whether it is aviation, whether it is FMCG, whether it is telecoms, first you must understand that you are susceptible to certain risks. So part of your crisis communication efforts must be to workshop all the types of risks you are susceptible to. Create what is called a dashboard of issues. So for example, you are in the FMCG space. You know that a negative product review is likely to be, it's a major risk you are susceptible to. So what that process enables you to do is to say, when this happens, what do we do? It is not a question of, oh, God forbid, it will never happen to us. It is that when it happens, what do we do?
We say, I will reject it in Jesus' name.
So when you understand first, when you first identify the fact that it's a risk you are susceptible to, and you've identified it, you've put it on your dashboard, and it's a risk you are susceptible to, you then ask yourself, what do we do when it happens? How do we respond when it happens? There are a number of options available to the company, in question. How they took the option they took of, arresting the lady, taking her to court, and all of that. I mean, it's something that maybe they know something that you and I don't know, but I probably would have approached it differently. And again, because I'm being circumspect here, because a certain individual came out eventually and said he is the public relations consultant to that particular company. So I'm trying to stay as ethical as I can be in my commentary on that particular issue. But I've spoken broadly about how this should happen, what should be done, which is that first and foremost, ensure that every organization should have a dashboard of issues they are susceptible to, because it is issues that snowball into crisis when they are not well managed. So when you have your dashboard of issues, you create your crisis protocol, you train people for it, you have a team that will respond when any of those issues, go off the hook. they know what to do. That is not the time to even start, debate it or bring in the chief executive to start making comments on the issue owners internally should have known what their roles will be when crisis breaks.
We are moving from one crisis management issue to another, and I am going to take you on about Nigerian banks. I'm sure you remember that for some years now, for some months, let me know if we say years, or even if we're going to date it back to the pre-election time, where there was a cash crunch and Nigerians were buying money the way we buy foreign currencies. Yeah. That happened and we swept it under the carpet and nothing happened. Then now, from enhancements of technology to migrating from one platform to another, we have been experiencing cash crunches that have not even left us totally. There are very few banks you can go to and withdraw cash from their ATM machines. Yet, if you go to the streets, you pay 300 naira to withdraw 10,000 naira cash. You pay 400 naira to withdraw 50,000, as the case may be. Why are Nigerian banks soaked as they are in reputation management issues, not even bothered about engaging the public on this issue? You just see press releases, please bear with us. Bear with us for eternity, bear with us for an endless period. And the issue you're supposed to address has continued hampering consumer experience with you every day. Is the industry immune to customer hard service?
Okay, so my sense of this is, I have this very strong feeling that there is an intention on the part of the banks to take us away from a cash-driven economy to one where we can make most of our transactions electronically. And I think that consumers will probably be in a better position. I can't remember the last time I've stepped into a banking or to be candid, because a whole lot of my transactions I do them.
Same here.
I do them on my phone. But with the digital divide that we still have, despite all that we say, I think the banks can do better in terms of their communication, in terms of even explaining to the rural market men and women about what exactly is it where when there's a direction, when you know what your stakeholder is working towards, when there are pains, you understand that there is something that is going to be mutually beneficial to you and to the other partner, in this case now the bank. Perhaps people will have a better understanding of that process, and I don't think that maybe the banks, maybe I don't want to say all of them, maybe some are doing quite well, than the others in terms of being able to engage customers and tell us, look, just say it as it is. The truth is that there is an intentional plan by the CBN as well as the banks to discourage the use of cash.
Security-wise, we understand the risks.
Yeah.
Convenience-wise,
yeah,
we understand
the benefits.
Yes. But your consumer is not sufficiently educated. And I want to liken it to a person who is going to primary school or even secondary school for the very first time.
Yes.
And then he gets to the gate and the headmaster or the principal has a horsewhip with his hands raised. Please, here we don't tolerate laggards. It's either you become brilliant by force or we continue beating you until we beat intelligence to your head. That's almost what the banks are doing. They are migrating us to
I think
to digital banking, and then they are taking us violently, like they say in the Bible. The religious people, and they want to take us by force.
So I think the CBN also has a role to play in this, because this is I believe that this is a CBN policy, and when you look at the macroeconomic, intent of this, it is also to reduce the amount of cash, in circulation. When you go to some cities, Lagos, Ibadan, and even other places, and I'm sure when on weekends, when parties are held, you still see people, parading cash, and you ask yourself, where are they getting
Where are they getting
where are
money?
they getting
Yes, where are they
cash
getting
from?
from?
But the truth is that most of those notes that you actually see are actually stolen from some customers' money. You know why? Always check the serial number. The numbers never follow serially. So meaning that somebody has picked 5,000 new notes from yours, and picked 5,000 from mine, and they've added them together. They've sold to somebody to go out and sell. So I think there has to be a lot. The CBN first and foremost, and should also engage the bankers community, on this. And then I also think that the bankers committee should also engage the tech community. Listen to me, I can tell you this for free. This is not a problem we cannot solve. Even amongst our rural folks, you can, through machine learning, you can train a chatbot to speak Fulfude, very well. So the Fulani man knows that he doesn't have to carry, cash. Okay, he doesn't have to carry cash. You can train a chatbot to speak Hausa, so the Hausa man knows that he doesn't have, the Igbo man who is selling, at the Onitsha market knows that he doesn't have to carry cash. You understand? And people can do their banking transactions without having to carry cash.
So, with all this knowledge, why are they doing conversion by punishment?
Well, I mean, the truth is that I think conversion by punishment is unacceptable, and then there has to also be a clear timetable that people know that, okay, from so and so time to so and so time, it enables people to, don't forget, we have lived all our lives as a cash-driven, economy,
Right.
And culture, like the saying goes, that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. Culture will eat strategy for breakfast. So, if the strategy is to discourage cash, but you have not forgotten that culture is very powerful. And that's why people still go to buy cash, to be able to spend at parties. So I think the CBN must come out strongly. The CBN must engage the bankers committee. The bankers committee must engage the tech community, engage the public relations community, engage the advertising community. Between those three communities, public relations, advertising, and tech, we will find the solution that we need, and people don't have to be punished.
Thank you very much. And I am coming down to chain reactions and leaders and agency. You manage a diverse array of clients. Oil and gas, FMCG, public sector, finance, as it is. I've put through your website and how do you address the individual needs of these diverse clients? Some of them are poles apart, and still get them retained, even attracting more clients.
So, again, I'll refer to the conference that I attended, about 2 weeks ago, and I said we have an orientation in Chain Reactions Africa. The first thing is that once any business appoints us, the first thing we do is to immerse ourselves in the business of your business. If an aviation company appoints us today, we will go and submit ourselves and learn about the aviation sector. Why are they using CRJ 900? Why are they suddenly shifting away from, Boeing 737 that was the conventional thing there? You can't be a public relations person and you do not have a knowledge of the business of your clients. You have to. And And I think that, with the greatest respect to our client, that's one of the things that has, I mean, you said, you asked that how have we managed to detain them, is because we immerse ourselves in the business of their business. We just don't concern ourselves with, oh, we want to make you look good, out there. No, you can't make somebody look good until you understand his pain points. So if it's, for example, an alcoholic beverage that has just appointed us, I want to know, why is it that people are not drinking their own brand of beer? Is it a price? Is it a price issue? Is it
a pride issue?
Is it even a pride issue? You understand? I want to know why this particular brand is selling very well in the southeast, and it's not doing well in the southwest. So these are all issues that public relations people must delve into. I mean, again, I always say, we never set out from inception. We never set out to run as an agency. The agency model is not only broken, it is dead. And I repeat that the agency model is not only broken, it is dead. Because every time you approach a client as an agency, they look at you as a commission agent who has just come, and they give you a PO and they say, okay, you do this and you make 10%. But when you look at the big four, or even the big five in consulting today, they make more money because they come to you with propositions that help you to be able to solve your problem. And that's how we approach every single client that we work for. We are professional problem solvers. That's what we call ourselves. We are futurists. We are prophets in the marketplace. And what do prophets do? Prophets help you to make sense of the past, understand the present, and see the future. We want to be able to tell our clients, if we work for a client that is into making of jeans, for example, for millennials or for Gen Zs, we want to be able to tell them the type of jeans that millennials will be wearing in the next 5 years. Otherwise, in 5 years, their business will be dead, and we will also be out of business because we will be kicked out. So we want to help them, and that's why we always, I'm sure you are aware, we always release this market, this trends report that we always, because it gives us an insight into what are those trends that are shaping what people are buying, that are shaping what people are doing, and what people will not even buy again in another 5 to 10 years.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had a great time with Israel Jaiye Opayemi, Chief Executive Officer, Chain Reactions Nigeria. We have taken his insights, and I know that there's a lot of learning from him to you out there. Please, I know that when next we call you, we are going to respond to us because we really need you. The market needs you, more importantly. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, and thank you, our viewers.
Thank you for coming today. We maintain a tradition that as you leave us, we have to give you a little takeaway.
Okay.
And today,
Awesome.
we have this beautiful hoodie for you, and then you will appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is the C-Suite, cafe hoodie, and thank you so very much. Amazing quality, amazing print. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kim, once again. So, it's been an amazing time at the C-Suite Cafe, and I think the interview has been quite incisive, very interesting, and I dare say, if you are a CEO or a member of the C-Suite, you need to be here. You need to be at the C-Suite, cafe. You need to tell your story. The world needs to hear your story. You need to share what you know with us, with the rest of, the continent. So my name is Israel Jaiye Opayemi. I am the MD, Chief Strategist of Chain Reactions Africa. We are public relations consultants. Welcome to the C-Suite Cafe. Thank you.